What made James worry was whether there was something that drove the rock bear out of its home. I also wonder where the other rock bears from his family are. James couldn't help but think. From what he had heard from other adventurers during this dream was that rock bears would have a large family. While the leader would stay with the young, the younger males would head out to gather food. The larger rock bear acted like a guardian in case stronger monsters were attracted to the younger bears. James listened for any sound of trees breaking as the larger rock bear made its way through the forest. If the younger rock bears also came with the larger one, then it could be several rock bears that they had to deal with. This was on top of the fact that they'd need to be traveling through the forest for several days. Not being able to rest as they escaped would place a burden on their bodies. While they rushed through the forest, on top of needing to quickly move, they need to concentrate on the light in order to make sure they didn't trip on any roots, rocks, or holes on the forest floor. Having to concentrate on so many different things all at the same time was mentally draining. This was on top of the forest feeling as though it was hiding a sinister secret. As time progressed and soon they were deep into the night, James felt his body showing signs of fatigue. It wasn't enough for them to stop, but it was clear that continuing their pace was going to be difficult after enough time passed. Not being able to sleep for several days wasn't something new to either him or his group. There had been numerous missions in the past that required them to forego rest in order to complete the task. Pumping his arms to help him maintain proper form, James felt the occasional vibration as a donation was sent by a viewer. James wanted to check what the chat was telling them, but he didn't want to stop so soon. The rock bear had a keen sense of smell. They were still far too close to where they saw the imprint to take a break. It would also be better to rest when they had used up more of their stamina. Turning his head, James saw the others were able to keep up with him. Near the back, Peter gave him a quick thumbs up to indicate that they were still good. None of them voiced their thoughts due to their bodies being in a similar state as his. They didn't want to use up strength talking and try to focus on just keeping any wasted movements to a minimum. Not being professional athletes, jogging for them had a lot of inefficiencies that would increase how much effort they need to put in. James barely managed to avoid a large rock on the ground, which would have caused him to fall and possibly tripping the others. The uneven terrain caused his calves to begin burning as they had to compensate more for stabilizing him. In addition to the uneven terrain, they weren't wearing footwear designed for jogging. It was more focused on protecting them when they were attacked by monsters. He was surprised that he was able to run for as long as he did. In the past, I'd be panning on the ground after the first hour. Judging by how dark the forest is, and the slight change in temperature, we probably jogged for 6 hours, James thought to himself. If they had jogged over 6 hours, James figured that they've traveled more than 20 miles. Who would have thought that I'd complete a marathon in the past? James couldn't help but mentally laugh considering his background. A crashing noise behind him pulled James out of his reminiscing. Is it the rock bear? He reached for his daggers, ready to take on the monster even if he knew that there was no chance for them.